There are growing calls this morning for teams with racially offensive names to change them. Football teams, including Edmonton and Washington, are looking at their names and branding, while the same is true for Cleveland's baseball team, with the manager saying it's time for change. Recently, we spoke to Tomas Jirousek, who was the driving force behind McGill's decision to change the name of all its men's varsity sports teams. We wanted to bring him back to hear more. Good morning to you, Tomas.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Nice to talk to you again. Hey, it's 1 year later. McGill's sports teams are still unnamed since this campaign. Walk everybody through this process that it took to have the university drop this offensive name they had used for almost a century on its athletic teams.
Yeah, it's taken quite a while to change the Redmond name, and we'd been campaigning as Indigenous students since the 1990s, actually, to change the Redmond name. We had previously had quite offensive logo used in conjunction with the name itself. And so it had been many decades of Indigenous students looking to change this very hurtful name. Specifically, our campaign last year relied a lot on non-Indigenous student support for our campaigns, and so we did plenty of rallies outside, we did tabling, we had student-wide votes, we had alumni getting involved. It was really a cross-campus discussion that we launched in changing the Redmond name.
Tomas, your role specifically I found very interesting because you went at this almost like you were preparing for a legal case. You went into archives, you got witness statements, and you did that all on top of graduating, and you graduated as a valedictorian. So how many hours a week did it take putting this together?
It was a lot. Sometimes 40, if not more, hours a week, sometimes up to 60 hours a week. It was, really wanting to make sure that your I's were dotted and your T's were crossed. It was going through archives and seeing, previous images of how the Redmond name would be depicted in relation to Indigenous peoples. It was seeing the other names that had been used at McGill. We had been known as the McGill Indians as well prior to the McGill Redmond. It was reaching out to alumni, Indigenous students, Indigenous communities, and seeing how we really felt about it, to put together a strong case for changing the name. Before we felt comfortable bringing that to the rest of the university, we wanted to talk to professors to really get a deeper idea of how this really affected our community.
Yeah, and interesting to have that evidence, given that the university in previous years had said the Redmond name had come from the color of their jerseys. So it was interesting to have that evidence brought forward. You were a member of the rowing team while this campaign was going on. What response did you get from students and faculty?
It was surprisingly supportive. Obviously there was a small number of people who were against the change of the name. But my teammates, actually that's a large part of the reason why I felt it necessary to launch this campaign in the first place, was that my teammates had really become my family while I was rowing at McGill. I couldn't have imagined going through my undergrad without my teammates. And it breaks your heart to know that so many Indigenous students didn't feel comfortable in McGill athletics because of the Redmond name. And so that's a big part of the reason why I felt it so necessary again to change this name.
The history of McGill University does have links to racism. The Tribune, which is the university's paper, in February of just this year, wrote an article about that. And one of the quotes is, James McGill, who is the founder, enslaved Black and Indigenous people, and the wealth he accrued from their exploitation was left in his will to the university. That was McGill University. So what does it mean knowing to you that this piece of history, which doesn't appear on the website, is part of the university that you graduated from?
I think it sparks a conversation at the university, but across the country as well. I think McGill has done great things, and it is a great university. But I think if we want to truly become a leader, I think, in post-reconciliation, moving towards reconciliation as a university, we need to be willing to have those critical discussions, that critical insight into our past, to see how we lifted ourselves up based on the backs of marginalized peoples. And I don't think it's possible for the university to truly continue saying that it's a great university if it fails to have those hard conversations with itself.
Tomas, great to speak to you. Good luck on your studies as you enter them heading into the fall at the University of Toronto.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.